Hello everyone, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we have an awesome House Divided campaign for you. This is one of the two battles within the campaign that's happening this week. We will inform you how the other one goes next week. So you're getting an overview of the two maps we'll be seeing today. The first one is Eastwoods that you saw a moment ago, and now you're seeing the overview of Eastwoods Skirmish. It should be a fun one. Your teams for today's event: on the Union, we have the 8th Ohio, the 2nd USR, the OG, the 3rd New Jersey, the 5th US Cav, the 1st US Sharpshooters, 24th Georgia, 7th Mass, and the 17th Michigan. Whereas on the Confederacy, we have the 2nd Minnesota, 1st VA, 83rd PVI, Pickett's Brigade, and Sussy Brigade. It should be a fun one. Now, how this campaign works is you have the Union side and Confederate side. So, for the first round, we have the Union teams playing Union, Confederate teams playing Confederacy. However, they will switch the second round, so the Confederate regiments that you see on screen will be playing as Union, and the Union regiments on screen will be playing as Confederates. And with that being said, we're going to get a quick overview of the campaign and get right into the battle. Hope you enjoy. Today's announcers are going to be That One Savvy, a regular person on this show, and we have a special guest today,
Wow.
Rollo from the 13th Georgia. How are you both doing today?
So I guess I'm just regular to you now. Wow, okay. Nah, I'm doing great today. Feeling good. Feeling good.
That's good.
Doing well, Eagle, thanks.
That's good. And with that being said, you have two maps on your screen. First one shows an overview of the campaign, whereas the second image on the left shows more battle specifics. Sevi and I are still trying to understand this. Rollo knows more. Rollo, what can you say about the campaign so far?
So right now, currently, the fighting is taking place north of Tennessee. The current state of the map is that the CSA have the majority of the manpower right now, and the Union have the majority of the resources, so it's going to be interesting to see how that balances each other out. Currently, the 13th Georgia have just taken a city just north of Tennessee, so that has triggered the fighting for this week's House Divided campaign.
All right, sweet. Thank you for that. And yeah, those maps for this will be Eastwoods and Eastwoods Skirmish. I don't remember the order as of right now, but
Would you mind telling us what's at stake for the first and second rounds? Is it still the same rules where the first round depends on who wins and the second gives you money? Does that
That's
change?
essentially it, yeah. So if the city is captured, then the side capturing it will have gained manpower. If not, then vice versa, and that's essentially how it will work.
And who captures the actual tiles decided by the first round, correct?
That's it, yes. Yeah, first
Alright.
round decides that.
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. With that being said, we'll see you guys in the first round. And here we are with our first map today. It looks like it's going to be Eastwoods first here, fighting for control of the town. Should be a fun one. What do you guys think will be the strategies of each team on this map? We haven't seen it a lot here.
Well, you see, the rebels over here, they have the one of these regiments has access to Pokemon. No, I'm pretty sure it's the Texas regiment, and they're able to very quickly, even though the Yankees do have sharp rifles, with their superior tickets and their buck and ball, they usually are able to just like rush over here on the right, their right that is, and take point, or they might just right up the center. But the Yankees, I'm sure, will be heavily depending on their sharp rifles, the 16 of them, to try to keep off the rebels for a long time because they have very few tickets on this map. So I think that the rebels are going to try to force a close engagement, while the Yankees try to keep them at arm's length. Do you disagree with me, Rollo, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's quite right. I think those the giant log pile on the far right, I think that will be a key asset in this map. I think the CSA will work hard to try to capture that, and the Union will probably use it for cover to try to keep them away, like arm's length, like you say. There is some rocks to the CSA far left. It would be quite interesting to see if the CSA go for those, because it can provide quite a nice flank on the Union right, but it will depend how bold the CSA are feeling right now, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Well, at the beginning of this game, it looks like the Union still think it's 2019 or something, because they're just they have the sharp shovels on the left stone wall, and the rest of their line spread out near the point. And it looks like some of them are going left. Looks like the majority of the rebel advancing, though, is not coming towards this flank, although they have some skirmishes in the corn. Looks like they have the majority of them. No, it looks like they're split up into two prongs. One to go far right, one to go far left. The far right prong is headed by the... What regiment is this? This is the 5th Florida, so I guess this is Sussy's Sussy's advance. I was going to say Sussy's penetration. And over here, they are going to be met by the 8th Ohio in a very spread out skirmishing order with Springfield 61s. Remember, these their Sandus helpers over here do not have the sharpshooter rifles that their friendlies in the 42nd do. So they're going to be taking... They're out of line. Like, these guys are going to take a shit ton of casualties. This is a horrible formation.
I wonder if the 8th are just planning to fire and pull back here towards their sharp rifles.
I sure hope so.
Support.
Yeah, run, buddy, run. That's what they're saying. Okay, that's now that was very good. It was a good decision not to sit there and die out of line. Over here on their slightly to the right, the 1st U.S. Sharpshooters is about to engage with the Pickett's Brigade in the 83rd Pennsylvania. And over here, looks on the far right that the engagement has also begun. Not really, just some volleys being back and forth. The rebels have taken the stone wall on this. Again, it's a half stone wall, then a full stone wall over here on the corn. The Yankees can take the stone wall, but not very farther into it. Let's see what the total map looks like right now. Yeah, about standard, So where do you think that the rebels are going to try to make their first charge? Like, I've seen both areas pushed hard.
Yeah, I'm thinking the right side will probably be the key. If they have most of their sharps over on the Union right, then it might be an opening for the rebels to attack the right side, but we'll see how much they want to push here, because they do have a time on their side on this map, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for true. That is for true. No, and the rebels over here do seem to be advancing on the rebel far left, Yankee far right. At least Mr. Adjutant Turner over here is he's adjutanting. Over here to his rear is the 2nd Mississippi and the 1st Virginia. And they are slowly advancing. So, well, not really the double click, but they're advancing over here next to the leader, Formless Nut, upon the rock formations and trees held by the OG and the 7th Massachusetts. So I don't think that anybody's advanced on the left side just yet. Nope, it's still an engagement with the same forces we saw earlier, fighting at arm's length. This is the rebels, they are aggressive, and it's only been 5 minutes here, but I'm sure the Yankees are going to hope it's going to stay just like this for the whole game. People shooting about 30 yards apart. Oh, this is insanely close. But with the foliage in the way, it really doesn't look like it.
No. And the CSA have great cover in that foliage as well. Their uniforms blend perfectly, and it is quite hard to see them, especially when even just a little bit of distance.
It does seem, though, that because they lost quite a few men over here, I'm guessing it was due to the fact that they were up against a mountain to their rear, easier to see than if you had a mountain in front. They're slightly falling back and repositioning to the right, where they have just like that, where they're falling back over the hill. It's easier to shoot when your neck is up to dirt.
That's true.
Dirt is up to your neck. Over here on the far rebel right, I can see advancing people. This is Murphy leading the Sussie's brigade, and Zoo. Ooh, Zoo overtaken Murphy. I guess he's in charge now. And they are, I'm guessing they're mounting up for a charge against the 5th U.S. over here. The 5th U.S. haven't seen him yet, but they just now say that they're coming. 10 yards away, they just now see him.
This could be bad for the Union.
Oh, certainly. Look at this right now. Complete carnage, or not really carnage. Looks like the Yankees just are falling back without a fight. And when they do fight, they're going to be in skirmishing. So over here on the far Union left flank, a complete rout from the Union.
Right, yeah.
I've never seen that before, where a complete force routes instead of actually dying. Like that was, yeah.
That's a lot of ground to give the CSA this early on in the map as well. That's a hell of a lot of ground the CSA have captured.
I've said it a lot, but this is one of those maps where once you lose the point, your odds of winning just are abysmal. Like
Absolutely.
I remember back when, because of sharp rifles and people didn't know how to play this map, people thought it was a Union biased map, and oh how naive we were. Just look at this shit. Union have completely lost the left flank now. Let's see what they're doing on the right flank. Jack all. Units are still firing at each other from a considerable distance. Turner, still Turnering. Looks like the Union are trying to consolidate themselves, but the Confederates do have control of point. They are not capturing it just yet, but they could cap if they wanted to.
Yeah. And the Union have that unfortunate run straight down the road towards an enemy that's in cover on the point if the enemy, CSA chose to do that.
It's hard to see, but there's a bit of a hill there where the rebels are currently standing. So yeah, once the rebels capture that point, they'll be the ones in cover. Considerably, well, I am of the opinion that the rebels would not be putting themselves at a disadvantage if they were to cap early. Some people, I'm sure, would disagree with me, but whatever. I do remember one event, though, probably like 6 months ago or so, where the entire Union got like wiped instantly and then fell back all the way back to like spawn, like this area. And the rebels didn't cap for a solid 30 minutes. And when it was 5 minutes left, we started seeing that it was going in their favor. And it was like battle ready. And we charged them and won. It was the most, best feeling ever. But you can see from this eagle's eye view that nobody's really advancing. And it just seems like everybody's shooting at each other. It's one of those maps where you just don't get good frames.
I mean, the Union want to do this as much as possible. They have the sharps, so they want to keep this a shooting battle as wherever possible, really.
And it looks like just 8 minutes into the game, they haven't been able to do that on the left flank, but on the right, the Union right, they've been able to do that very well. It doesn't look very far away from overhead, but on the ground, 30 yards is 30 yards, and it makes a huge difference.
Absolutely.
So over here, again, just the Union have been able to hold the rebels off on the left, or I'm sorry, on the Confederate left, but on their Confederate right, just I don't even know. Well, it looks like they're staying on the road, doing a little Macarena back and forth. They've been on the road for like 10 minutes. Let's see. Over here is the 1st Maryland and PB, and they are looking over here across into this open field next to this house where Eastwood skirmish was. The 2nd U.S. mostly, with 5th U.S. to their right, and I think I saw another group over here. Yes, and the 8th Ohio. Nice shots, guys. Oh, there you go. Now you got him.
Oh.
Yeah, well, nice out of line, but again, that it really isn't going to change much for the Confederates here. I don't really see the Union being able to win. Oh, melee happening over here on the right. Union right, Confederate left. We can see that the 1st Virginias tried to charge out the 24th. 24th mostly dying where they stood. Looks like they were able to get a good, considerable few kills out there, though, before they, and even after they fell back.
Oh, look at
Look at this.
Sergeant Todd going. What a guy.
Wow, that was, again, those things are brave, and it feels awesome to get an extra kill after melee, but those guys should have just ran away. They had the
Yes.
chance to run away and save their tickets, but all they did was cost their team 10 tickets. So,
That's
you know,
5
nice
tickets
job.
apiece.
You killed like one guy who's I'm sure he might have been skirmishing our line, but that doesn't mean jack shit. These guys are quick timing in a blob. Pretty cool looking. Kind of looks like a little house. Arrow marker even. To the right of the fallen 24 Georgia is the 7th Massachusetts, and they are just standing, chilling, yearning for freedom from Yankee tyranny, I guess. Just having a grand old time camping, I guess. I don't know. To
Probably
the Union
not quite
left.
sure what's going on there.
Yeah, really. Like people looking all 5 directions. Guys dying out of line over here, bringing their own team down to engage, trying to pick up a flag. Nice job. Yeah. Whatever. Union are looks like the Confederates are weary of capturing the point. Can't blame them too much. But again, I would still say just cap it now. Force the Union to attack you. You're not gonna. In the long run, usually you don't save time. You know, it feels like you are saving time, but you're, I don't know, it just. Nah. I love early capping. I'm biased towards it.
Yep.
24 Georgia fitting 30 men into 2 square feet over here. I guess
I think they're gonna
this
get
is.
charged in a second here.
Yeah, really, man. And they all just volleyed. Like,
That's not good.
why would you volley when you're? Look at that. Buck and ball killing like 5 of them. That's
Yeah.
folks.
Yeah.
That's why you do a little thing called open order. You can be a little bit further apart. You can be around 3 feet apart, 3 to 5 feet apart, and still be information in this game. You don't need to be shoulder to shoulder like ever.
Yeah.
I would even say that here in the woods, when you don't like, when you can't see the whole enemy, you should never be volleying. You should be independent firing, or like maybe some kind of ripple fire, fiber fire.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see the 24th Georgia do that because they're a regiment with quite a lot of prestige in war of rights, and that's quite. I guess they just must not have seen them coming on the left there, but
Indeed, yeah, they were like 5 yards away, and they decided to do a volley.
right, yeah, that was quite surprising. I wasn't sure that was going to happen there.
We can see now that the Union small little thrust there on the Union left, Confederate right has completely petered out, and the Confederates are still in control point. Again, they're not capping it because they don't want to start a counterattack this early. They would rather get the Union's morale down first. If you don't know, that makes the counterattack shorter. If they're able to get all the way down to breaking, then they will have no counterattack the Union. I don't see how the Union can win this. Like from their current positions, they have to charge out a Union or a force with buck and ball and better cover in all directions.
Yep.
So unless the Confederates do something dumb, like not capping until there's a minute left, I just don't believe in it.
I think the Union have to massively change their strategy here because what they're doing is just a slow bleed of tickets right now, and it's just not going to last 33 minutes. No way.
I think they have 2 strategies that could work: either pulling back to spawn and waiting for a counterattack, or just fucking charging until you
Right.
die.
I would try to take the area around the point. There is some good cover there. That's what I would be trying to do if I was a Union right now. Just use those trees, use those logs, use the cover, and just slowly
Even just
push
like
the
this hill.
CSA back.
Nice.
Right, exactly. And the CSA will probably not push much further than that log pile. That is kind of notorious in this map for CSA on the CSA
You mean
right.
that like power right there?
No, sorry, the other way around. I think it is.
That one?
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that's quite a common area you'll see CSA congregating because it's one of the only places with really good cover if you're facing the Union spawn. So you'll often see CSA, even just random guys just hanging out around that log pile.
Indeed, and that is what we see here. And we do see that their current thrust on the right is almost centered around it. It is also, I think, it's important to mention that it's just an easy spot to know about. Everybody knows what a log pile is, and if you tell your men in your Discord, hey, meet up at the log pile, I know it's got wiped, but meet over there, and you'll be able to find everybody in less than a couple minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just a great respawn point, and it's very good cover. I mean, there's no way you can shoot through it, so it's just perfect.
What I think I see here is that the Union are doing like 2 shots at once. On one end, they're keeping the rebels at arm's length, but then again, they're pinning down less than half the number over here, I'd say. Like, the amount of rebels here is equivalent or lesser than the Union force. And at the same time, they're having men over here in this house, which tells me that they want to let the rebels cap. The only reason to ever go to this house is if you actually want the rebels to cap. So either the groups are having a disagreement about strategy, or I'm missing something. Because I don't really, like, you don't have a force here and one shooting,
I think you're right there. I think it's the Union are probably not quite as coordinated as they would like to be. I think there's kind of too much going on at once, and their regiments are kind of not maybe necessarily doing their own thing, but are just not timing it well with the regiments around them, because we seem to see like a lot of people shooting and then not shooting, and then some charges happening, but other regiments not getting involved. So maybe it's just not quite as coordinated as the Union would like it to be right now.
Yeah, maybe they're going to force up here and try to do an attack when the Confederates cap here. But I think the Union is too spread out to actually capitalize on a charge. And what is more important, I think, is that every group is a different length away from the point. If let's just say in their Steam chat they said, okay, everybody charge at 30 minutes, that group would get in, then that group, then that group, and then that group,
Right.
And it would just be a slow, death by 1,000 cuts, where the Union would come in piecemeal. And the Confederates over here would come in the rear, and all that shit would be really bad. That being said, though, I don't think they got to worry about that, because it looks here that they're willing to just shoot it out until they hit breaking, which it's always a defender's. When the thing isn't going your way, I think the last thing you should be doing is maintaining the status quo, and that's pretty much what they're doing here. Is that they're doing the easiest command ever, which is keep doing what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, if the strategy's not working, you need to change the strategy always. It's no point if it's not working, don't just keep doing it. It might be the case that the Union are trying to coordinate a new plan, and it's taking them time. But I think you're right. Just the spacing that the Union have between the point and all their regiments just suggests that the first Union regiment to run to point is probably going to have a bad day.
This is a really weird formation because it kind of looks like a sickle, where it's like kind of loops in and then loops all the way around up there. And this whole place, the Union is extremely spread out and thin. And over here, they're extremely clumped up. And in both cases, they're losing a lot of tickets. Okay, when we said that, that it's horrible to maintain your current progress, if there's only a minute left and you're losing more tickets than the enemy, who cares? I think the issue is that they have 30 minutes left, and they'd engage at 37, 35? So they're about to hit taking losses in the next 2 or 3 minutes, and they're going to hit breaking before 15 minutes. That's going to give the rebels ample time to capture the point, or even just force them all the way down to the last stand. Union did force the Confederates to engage, though, I think around 7 minutes behind.
If I was the Union right now, I would be taking advantage of the Union right, because their numbers are superior, and they really could, if they were going to make something happen, it would be better to do it now rather than just continue to be shot at for the next 28 minutes.
We can see here that the first VA is pretty much completely centered around this log pile right here, and they're being fired upon this entire line with the 7th Virginia, the OG, another part of the OG, the 24th Georgia. It's just huge. They are mounting a small advance over here on the right into the corn, which is a nice little advance because the rebels seem to be moving away. Looks like this group also is moving away from the 7th. No, this is the 7th. I think they're just falling back a little bit. I guess, they want to, restrict their ticket losses. But man, there's a lot of what are these guys doing? They're out of line. I don't know.
Yeah, this is quite unusual to see the Union this non-coordinated. I mean, they really have guys going all over the forest. I wonder if it's just a case they maybe have some regiments have some new players, not quite sure where they're going, maybe got lost. Because there's
even experienced players can get lost in this map because they have more groups than they have flags,
That is true.
Oh my god. People are forming lines way too tight. Look at that shit. If they were one-man space, they would have lost a quarter of those losses. And they all had to fall back.
That was really rough for the 2nd US right there.
And over here, the 5th North Carolina, they did lose 3 or 4 guys, but, just shooting is easy to do when everybody's next touching each other. if I don't know. I just think not using open order is inexcusable. Unless it's a rule, like historical rules event. Unless it's a rule that you can't use open order, I think it should always be used. Over here, we get to see a charge of the 5th North Carolina, now charging out the 7th Massachusetts from the behind. 7th did have the opportunity to wheel about, but isn't going to save him. The 5th, they just killed the 2nd, now they're going to kill the 7th too.
Yeah, I think they're
That was
unstoppable right now. I think they're just going to keep going all the way through here until they reach the other side.
Confederates perfectly timed it. I'm willing to bet that they're like yin and yang over there in their Steam chat, because they captured it and they were about to capture it, and right as they captured it, boom, taking losses. What that means is instead of a 13-minute counterattack or 12.99 or 11.99 or whatever it is, they got a 7-minute counterattack. So, cool there. Zooming out, we can see that the Union has some men in that house over there who are moving towards the rest of the fighting. Some men over there down the main road, and beside that, the Confederates have completely pushed the Union basically everywhere.
If I was the Union, this moment is pivotal right now. While all those regiments are respawning at main spawn, what they need to do is coordinate together and work together and push that point together. Do not charge in one regiment at a time, which kind of looks like what they're doing right now. And I feel like these regiments that are charging in one at a time are really going to have a tough time on point.
Mm-hmm. Well, especially I think over here, the 8th Ohio, who was, remember, was all the way over there by the house, is over here now, and they're going to be able to get on point and outnumber the small amount of rebels who are here. But again, all these regiments over here, the 83rd PV and everybody else, just have to turn around and kill them. The rebels can afford to lose tickets over here, and they're using an open order. And the Yankees, again, they have 5 minutes and 40 seconds to recapture this point, and they're kneeling and independent firing, and
very clumped together as well. Very clumped together.
The Union that has 9 regiments on their team trying to coordinate, whereas the CSA has Sussy, which is 3 regiments, but they've played a lot together, so no problems there. And then 3 or 4 other groups. So Union has a lot of smaller groups trying to communicate, whereas the CSA has bigger groups.
And we do see that they're outnumbered by around 20, the Union. So that is also a pretty impactful thing, having a fifth of the less people.
For sure, absolutely.
That is just the ups and downs of chords, though. Especially, what you notice is that usually in coordination, people approximate their numbers either to a margin of 10 or a margin of 5. So when you have more groups, you just have a huge margin of error. And that's what we're seeing here, is that I think that the Confederates brought their upper margin and the Union brought nearer to their lower margin. I think am I wrong on that, or is that about it?
No, I think that's exactly what happens. And another good thing to point out is when you have a large regiment playing, it's very hard to auto balance, because you can't really ask regiments to swap over, because you just create the problem for the other side. Asking 20-30 guys to swap over usually creates just a problem for the other team.
How much does each side have right now? I can see the numbers.
It's 120 to 101.
The CSA hit their high, and then Union was?
Union's probably hit their low, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Union's around their low, yeah. You said they had 100 some, right?
They have 100 exactly.
Yeah, they're on their lower end.
Yeah, okay. Over here, looking at the wide view map, you can see that the Confederates have on point, and they are surrounded by the 8th Ohio over there. I wonder if group over here is still in the corn. Over here in the corn, extremely clumped up again, is the 24th Georgia. Yeah, they are like, wow. Reichsfuhrer got... I don't even know what they're doing over here. Just being a little blob. Rebels just holding a little big line. A line that's pretty thin. Over here we can see that their units are spread out in a way to make them, spread out. They have enough space in between them that they're able to, not all be shot at and actually coordinate, but they're also close enough that they could help each other out if needed. On the rear of the Confederate main line is the 8th Ohio, who are faffing about. I learned that's a British thing they all say.
I love what the CSA is doing on their far left, though, where they have that group in the forest just waiting as the Union come down that road towards point. They have that group just kind of sitting there waiting to go to point if needed, and that's just what they need to do.
You're talking about this group, the first VA?
It might possibly be. I may have to zoom out again for me to just double check, but it might be the first VA. Yeah, it's I think it's them. When you have groups on the far left like that, it can sometimes create a little bit of confusion for Union if they think they're getting an easy ride to point. Sometimes they can just go from their main spawn all the way to point. And when you just have a group like that on the CSA far left, just them collapsing in behind the Union can have a horrible effect for the Union trying to capture point. But it'll all depend if the Union see them or not coming in. That's the case.
Yeah, we can see now one of the most important parts of this map. The OG is now charging on point, and they actually have to charge through the point, like over the road and into the woods here, because the point extends into the woods by a good margin. So now the Union are back in control of point, and I wonder how the Confederates will react. Either they can do a couple things. They could either recharge the point right now, or they could just let the Confederates or the Union have it and try to get them down to breaking before the recapture.
Oh, I love what the Union are doing here. They're charging the CSA left, which is very smart because that means less CSA going to point to try to stop the cap. That's a probably smart move by Union, but they are going to have to be quick to reinforce the point. Otherwise, the CSA will probably overwhelm the point eventually.
And we can see now the Confederates do outnumber the men over here. The OG and the 5th are just completely having a melee. It is complete ham over here. It's hard to see from the spectator view because there are over 200 people in this server, so it's hard to zoom in on one group and not miss the rest. But we can see over here on point that the Union are bringing down the Confederates to taking losses, but that isn't going to do jack shit because there's a minute and 40 left in this game, and the Confederates in a minute and 40 will still be controlling the point, looks like.
I think once again that was a good idea. Just the Union were just they didn't time that one quite well enough. There was just some regiments coming in a little bit late to that, and I think that kind of cost them.
The important thing to remember when you're outnumbered is that you have to pin down some of their men with a lot less of your men, and then charge the majority of your men against a small amount of their men. It's hard to explain, but if you want to try to split them up and then charge with superior numbers and at least somewhere, and that's extremely hard task to do. And we can see here that the Union weren't able to do that there. They were able to charge out the slightly smaller group here, but they weren't able to sufficiently pin down the rest of the units. And what that meant was that the Confederates were able to reinforce with enough men so that they had more men on point, and that's the story. We can see now the Confederates are saying, "Hey, get on point. There's a minute left in the game," and then you're saying, "Hey, there's a minute left in the point. Grug and go to point." Which I'm going to bet that the first guys over here probably have bayonets, yeah. But then as you get further back in the line, you probably see less and less bayonets. Yep, Gruggen. Those guys have bayonets. The second US did. Guys are back here. Did these guys get reloads but not bayonets or something? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, I think they just died later than everyone else. The Union, in a completely spread out line, is trying to fly onto point, and ain't gonna do much, I don't think.
I think it's pretty much all they can do at this point, unfortunately, but I do not see this succeeding, especially with fresh CSA reinforcements coming out their main spawn. They're not too far away now.
Yeah, we can see now. I think they forced into the match. What? Did you see that?
There was 10 seconds left on the golden counter clock.
Yeah, there was. Did they force into that?
That was a little bit of delay there.
Or maybe...
No, because on my end there was 10 seconds left, so the timer wasn't like set up wrongly.
Well, regardless of the fact, I don't think that 10 seconds would have been a big deal, seeing as the CSA basically controlled that point. But regardless of that, your guys' thoughts for the round will start with Sevi and then do Rollo. Sevi?
Well, the Union obviously were outnumbered, and it's really hard to play when you're outnumbered. However, even then, the Union strategies didn't seem to be able to come out to fruition. I think due to the fact, of course they were outnumbered, but also to the fact that there was a lot of units against basically two large units. It made it a lot harder of a job for the Union to mount a good attack. And, they weren't able to mount a good attack, so they lost. We can see that the Union lost slightly more men than the Confederates, but overall it was pretty close on kills.
All right, thank you for that. Rollo, your thoughts?
Yeah, I very much agree with Sevi. I think it was just a simple case that the Union were outnumbered and they were just a little bit spread a little bit too thin. They just couldn't really support each other in those charges, and they were kind of dying one regiment at a time, whereas the CSA were spaced out, but they were close enough to help each other, and that was a really big factor, especially in those charges.
I think the Union could have learned from the old saying, pick your battles. The Union really didn't pick their battles there; they just kind of fought everywhere, and that's not how you play when you're outnumbered. Of course, it is really hard to win defensive maps when you're outnumbered, or more so attacking maps. But it's really hard to map any map outnumbered. But it was a hard job, and I guess the Confederates just played better.
All right. Well, that being said, we'll see you guys in the second round. All right, everyone. Here we go. It is our second round today on Eastwood Skirmish. Union is already getting ready and going. Their bayonet are running. So with that being said, Rollo and Sevi, take it away.
Yes. So on this map, the Union have Sharps rifles and buck and ball. They have the 42, the 42nd, which has the Sharps rifle. I can't remember the model date, 59, and the 32nd over here is the Springfield 42. So what they have the two best guns in the game, in my opinion. They have the buck and ball for close range and the Sharps rifles for sheer velocity of fire. The Confederates have the standard array of Confederate firearms that they can choose from. You know, I wonder if Confederates are telling their men all to pick 42s or not. Is that a common thing, the 13th?
Absolutely, yeah. You're going to want to have those weapons for this type of map, and it will be really interesting to see if the CSA go right or left here, and how well they defend, because the Union obviously have their artillery on the CSA left, but the CSA have that nice cornfield there, and it'll be interesting to see if they utilize that or not, or if they're all just going to take that high ground on the right.
What I often see about this map is that the artillery, it looks demanding and it certainly suppresses people, but due to the fact that it's a really close range, less than 170 yards, the explosive shots can't actually explode in time until like point. Like the point is only like exactly 170 yards away. So any closer than that, and all you're getting is direct hits from the case or shell. So it looks
yeah.
like looks like the Union are mostly charging on the right. I did hear them say bayonets and run, and it looks like most of them have their bayonets on. Just a couple guys right shoulder shifting. The leading the charge is the 5th North Carolina. So again, I think this is the former rebels now playing Union. Is that correct?
That is true, yeah. They basically swapped over.
Yes. And if anybody doesn't know, the same team attacks on both rounds. Is that correct? Right? The same team.
That
attacks
is correct. Yeah.
Yes. So the people who were playing Confederate last round are now on Union because the Union is attacking this round. And the people who were on Union earlier, they were defending. So now they're defending as Confederates this round. So yeah, we can see now that the Sussies Brigade has touched the corn. The tip has penetrated, and the rest of the units are assumed to follow. We can see over here that the PB is directly behind them, and all the way back here is the, I don't know what HS stands for, and the 1st Delaware. Is that Hawaii?
Possibly. I've not actually seen that before. I wonder if they're a new regiment just joined potentially this week.
No, I'm pretty sure it's just bus being a meme.
Oh, that's probably true.
Hampton soldiers, maybe? It's probably Hampton soldiers.
I would really love to see if the Union are going to try to go really far right here, just because they have an amazing cover if they can take these woods just ahead of them.
Yeah, they do get amazing cover, but also the Confederates have amazing cover to then countercharge them. Looks like the 7th Massachusetts is over here. They were able to mostly kill off the advance from the 5th. However, on their left, the other 5th is mostly going to be able to encircle them. It looks like the Union are going to be able to win this cornfield now, on both ends of it. So like I said, if the Union does get into these woods over here and kill all the rebels in front of them, they will have a good opportunity to then use that to leverage their control on a point. And it's just as important to have control around the point than control on point this early on in the game.
I think one thing with this map especially is that the Union out of bounds is actually quite deceiving. It's much wider than a lot of people think, and it's also much closer to the CSA spawn than a lot of people realize. So
yes, you can go all the way over here to this hill. I think I can find the exact boundary. Yeah, it's like right on these rocks. There's a rock formation or something.
There's a log pile on the road
these rocks.
Just near the point, and that's basically any further than that log pile on the road, and you're out of bounds as Union. That's the log pile right there, yeah.
I'm sorry, it was these rocks I was thinking of. Yes. So around here, like they cannot advance up this hill. However, they can go all the way up to it. So yeah, you can see here exiting. Wait, really? That glitch is a thing?
A lot of cover in between though.
Sorry, I'm getting my glitches mixed up here. There's a glitch that Conquest has that Skirmish doesn't, so I'm getting them mixed up. But yeah, anyways, the Confederates... Yeah. And by the way, if anybody didn't know, historically, this battle happened the day before Antietam, and Eastwoods that we just played was right there. So remember the house from the round we just played? Well, that's where that is. So you can ink the rest around it. But, yeah. We can see now that the Confederates are bringing men from the right to the left, because they have completely lost it. However, the 5th North Carolina and the rest of Sussie's Brigade did not really advance from their old positions. It looks like they're grouping up.
Yep.
A shootout is ensuing. However, the Confederates were able to charge a small amount over here and take their retreat. So the 5th U.S. has now taken the area between the the Union spawn and the Union majority placement, I guess. The Confederates are now being assaulted by the Union reinforcements in the 1st Virginia. But I don't know how the 5th is going to be able to hold out here. On one end, Confederates have Buckmall, the other Union does too. So close range engagements could go either way. The 2nd Mississippi is now advancing back through the cornfield in order to go at these Confederates, the ones who are the... God, these guys are close. The 2nd U.S., they could literally not be closer together, and I don't know why they're even bothering. Now they're completely flanked on the left.
If I was the Union here, I would honestly not have even bothered with this. I would have just let the Arty take care of those guys sat on the road, and I would have just, like that, exactly just like that.
That killed one man.
Oh, there you go. Oh, there's another.
Well, I'm sorry. I think that blood spurt happened from nobody.
Oh, okay. Oh well, I'm sure it was
Either that-
demoralizing anyway.
yeah. But what we saw there was what I was talking about earlier. There's the explosion mark still. The 170 yards is there. The shells do not go off close to the 170.
Yeah.
So what we saw there was just a direct hit, and again killing one man, but then exploding all the way over there, which is exactly 170 yards away.
Yeah, if I was the Union here, I would honestly just try to capitalize on those woods, and my priority would be you've gained the foothold, now try to hold it.
Because the Confederates are going to definitely try to counterattack. I won't say this is what they're doing. Although if I were the Confederates, I wouldn't even bother counterattacking. I would just let them have it. This isn't your point. They don't need to hold it.
Absolutely. If I was the CSA right now, I would be focusing my attention on the CSA right, which is the high ground on that fence.
Yes, it's just over there. You mean?
Yeah. It looks like they have a regiment over there right now, but
I think the reason they have very few men over here is that it's just it isn't where the Union are. Only the 24th Georgia, which has a lot of men, may I add, over here tied up, shooting really far away.
But that high ground will pay off if the Union decide to come onto that road.
Union did actually lose their advance onto the Confederate group over here, even though they were aided by the artillery. It looks like the Confederates were just able to kill more men. The 8th Ohio is now advancing through the open. I'm sorry, more so redeploying. I'm not going to say retreating because they're not really in the face of the enemy, but against the who is this? This is the 5th Florida. So I'm guessing the Sussex Brigade is now advancing more down the stone wall and trying to get on this fence in a little nipple right here. This is a great position to hold because it is on point. So once the Union get more men over here, they will start capturing it.
I love that the Union are trying to take advantage of the foothold as well, just trying to get as many tickets out of it as they can. That's exactly what they should be doing. Just hitting those guys in the back, shooting them as they run away. That's tickets right there.
And threatening to capture the point makes the Confederates have to do a little bit of counterattacking. Definitely, they're capitalizing on it. I must add, by the way, that they are no longer outnumbering the Union by 20. It looks like I can't tell who moved over. Somebody moved over.
Perfect though.
Yeah, balance is perfect now. Yeah, but some group moved over. Can't tell which. Maybe the 2nd Mississippi. Were they over there on the? Who cares? Somebody moved over, and now it is perfect. So if you, I'm sorry, I'm too tired to realize it, but here is everybody on the game. Wow, look at that. That's all. Oh yeah, I found downloads. Thank you.
Yeah.
5% of the Union population has been downvoted. That's awesome. Over here, we can see on these rocks that the 5th Florida is able to. They have little skirmish lines, and they're able to use these good cover positions that they have. I think over here that the Union is probably losing men in total, but they have more tickets on this map, and it is probably to their advantage just to keep the fighting up. It's only been 10 minutes into the game, and we haven't seen really any lull in the just carnage.
Absolutely. If I was the Union, just keep this fighting going. If you're trading, you're still winning. You have more tickets. Just keep it going.
Yes, and we can see here that a bunch of Union respawns in the 1st Virginia are now advancing towards the center. They're holding up here on this fence before they go over here. Again, there's a fence here and a stone wall here, and that seems to be the majority of where the Union are holding. They're kind of forming it around it. They are advancing a little bit into that rock formation, but that's about it. And over here, where the rock formation turns, is a Confederate advance in the OG. The OG is now taken up the Confederate far left onto the flank of the Union. If they are able to get on the flank and get onto the stone wall, from right here, you can see basically the whole Union line and get enfilading fire.
Right.
Even though, obviously it's not a straight line, shooting buckball right down there is perfect. Looks like instead they're opting to charge in and die. Union hitting engage before the Confederates do. I expect the Confederates to come in around a minute or so.
This is actually quite smart by the OG. If they timed it well with the other regiments, that would have been great. But I think the other regiments have kind of just watched them die, unfortunately.
Definitely a bit of a ticket loss there for the Confederacy. However, proportion-wise and numerically-wise, the Confederates are winning on tickets. So it does look like the Union are going to have to be a little bit more aggressive or just capture the point early if they want to win.
Yeah, I think the CSA are very close to engaged here, the way they've been throwing men into the forest, but we'll see what happens.
Yes, and one thing about this cover that the Union has is that it is good cover. However, it makes them very easy to see against the backdrop of yellow corn. So while the Confederates, there we go, yeah, engaged around 30-40 seconds after the Union had engaged, the Confederates did. I would say that is in the Union's favor. If you're close to trading, that's perfect for the attacker. And before 34 minute engaged is great.
Absolutely.
Union artillery hitting dirt. Let me see, how many men do they have in artillery? They have 11 men back in artillery.
Wow, that's a big battery.
That is huge. I'm sorry, that is 11 wasted men, in my opinion. because
I
they're
would
not
agree
going to
with
join.
that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, best you can really do if Union Army right now is try to put some rounds down towards CSA spawn, at least that road to push
Mhm.
the march up. I think
But they're
that's the
not doing
best
that.
target.
They're shooting directly on point where there nobody is.
Yeah, that's not going to get you anything really.
Although they could also try to shoot over here. Just like take it left up at 20 yards or so,
Yeah.
and you'll get these guys. The 8th Ohio and the 24th haven't moved, and holy Jesus H Christ, that's a thick line. Not even. I'm sorry, it's curved. Open order, guys. Come on. One artillery shell right here would kill the entire. I'm sorry, it's not the 24th Georgia. I'm sorry, I misnumbered it. It's the 2nd United States. It's either regular or reserve. Union now starting to capture point.
Yeah, that formation is quite useful when you're trying to counter a charge if you're going to get the 2 ranks to fire one after the other and then hold together kind of really firm. But when you're receiving a volley, it's not smart to pack that tightly together because you're increasing your chances of casualties, really.
And a fun fact of the day: did you know that in the Civil War, in the Hardest manual, there's no mention of a front rank fire, rear rank fire? Fun
I
fact
did
of
not.
the day. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments. But I skimmed for it. I skimmed. I really did look for one, and I couldn't find anything. So maybe it's in case. Maybe I should have looked in Casey's. I don't know. But I do know that. Wait, did I look in Casey's or Hardy's? I looked in one of them and not the other. So I don't know. Maybe I wasn't looking for the right thing. But I couldn't find a mention of fire by rank. Now the Confederates are not being pelted at all by this Union artillery. The Union artillery again, it's on a hill. It's a nice elevated position, but they have to look into this corn. To be honest, they just got to fire over their shoulders of their friendlies, but that's really hard to know all the way back there.
Yeah, that's a very risky shot, and they're probably very afraid of getting TKs. But I would start to maybe adjust that artillery towards point because you know the CSA are going to recapture it pretty soon.
Or just to the left, because we can see now the 24th. I'm sorry, the 2nd United States is advancing down the hill with. I'm sorry, yeah. Here's the 24th and the OG. There we go. I knew they were up here somewhere.
Yeah, it looks like
They're now
all
advancing
going
towards the point.
At least they're charging in together. That is smart. If you're going to recapture the point, you want to do it with force.
Yeah, guys are here walking around in circles. Like they're literally running around in circles. At least reload, Like I'm sorry.
I wonder if the CSA are going to send one group towards the core and then one group to cap. That would probably be their smartest move, just as that distraction force. But I think they might all just sit on the point.
Yes. It looks like now that the Confederates have more men on point than the Union, they're just reluctant or not reluctant. They're complacent. That's the word. And they're just gonna sit right there. They are gonna let the Union kill them a lot. Over here we can see the 2nd is shooting on their flank. But I'm sure they don't mind. They'll go up to the Union's ticket value once it ends.
If I was Union artillery right now, I would be all 11 guys on that battery shooting at point right now. You're not going to get a better chance with all these tickets here.
I think we're going to see an artillery heading second now. We'll complete the overshooting. Fuse killing one man and fuse exploding actually 70 yards away. You need to set your fuse at 170. That's how far away the point is, guys. They probably think that it's further away than it is. And they got the red mist, so all the way back there on their cannons, they can't actually see that it blew up too late, To them, they just see red mist. And, it's...
I wonder how many cannons are actually diverting towards point right now, because if I was the Union artillery, I would have every cannon firing at point right now if I could.
Well, I think we see where they get 11 guys from. The fact that they have 5 sitting around doing nothing. We can see. I think that they're all pointed at point. That one, I wasn't able to see it. Looks like it's right there.
There's 3 different regiments manning the artillery as well. That must be maybe a little bit of a challenge to coordinate as well there.
Yes, it looks like every regiment who's here sent their battery to point or to their to the artillery. In my opinion, you should really only have one battery on artillery ever. Not just for organization, but also just for the fact that at a certain point, having 11 men on artillery, it's not very much more effective than having 4 men on artillery.
Yeah.
And we can see over here that the Union have taken the far left hill, which does allow them great shots basically on the whole map. Looks like Sussies have taken it, and the Confederates over here in the 5th U.S. are gonna die, I guess.
Yeah. If I was the 5th U.S., I would have charged all the way to the fence there. I think that was their best chance because there is no cover there. They're literally just standing in the open.
They're outnumbered like 5-1. I mean, I think their best chance was to not charge it in the first place.
Yeah, we're probably dead either way. I think they're doing the smart thing now, which is running away.
Oh my god, now they're having more guys come in. Okay, this is too late. No, 24th, you should not be going up here.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Okay, over there on the far right, you see nothing.
Charging in one regiment at a time, it rarely ever pays off.
So we should probably remind the viewers again that the people who are playing Union now were on Confederacy last time, and vice versa. Except for one group, which I'm too lazy to go back and check for. So, 15 minutes into the game, and what do we see? We see that the Union captured and lost the point. However, really all they did was pause the timer and take down both teams' tickets around evenly, which is to the benefit of the Union. Confederates are throwing men like wildcats onto this Union far left, Confederate far right, and not really gaining much out of it against the Sussex Brigade. Although they have lost quite a few men. Artillery hitting dirt. Nice job hitting dirt. You know, if you want to hit, you know, okay, they're setting it 70 yards too close to hit their spawn and 70 yards too far to hit their fucking point. So I don't know what they're doing there.
They got the happy medium of nothing right there.
I think we can see there why you know, the middle ground isn't always best. You know, sometimes you got to pick one. You got to pick far away or close. And,
right, absolutely. Good to see Captain Doug leading with as well there.
Yes, he says we can see over here that they are doing some phenomenal shots on the rest of the Confederates over here. And the Confederates, they have retreated downhill, which if you can't, again, hills make a huge difference in this game. And from this position, it's pretty hard to see both groups. Both groups have a little bit of cover from the other. However, I say that the Union's position is much better because that fence obscures them a lot, and also being on top of the hill is generally better than being on the bottom of it.
Absolutely. I wonder how close they're going to get here. Oh, they're retreating now. Okay.
Yes. I think I've seen way too much close order for my like.
I know, yeah. It feels like I'm watching historical rules right now on Sunday, EU.
It really does, it really does. I mean, I think every single historical rule has been followed. So, you know, this could basically, you know, change the title and you wouldn't even know the difference.
Yep.
God, my frames. The PB over here is holding near point, and what they could do is inch over and start to capture point. Artillery hitting point with nobody really on it. If they were to go right there, it'd be perfect.
Yeah, again, if I was Union, I would just take advantage of this foothold. If you can get shots into the side of those guys on point, do it. Just it's easy tickets right there. It's not far. It's close range.
I think that the Union is way too afraid to shoot their artillery into the woods because they can see that Confederate flag with their binoculars. You know, like it's hard to see from all the way back here, but with binoculars, you would very easily see. Oh, look at that! What's it over here? That's a Confederate flag. Look at that. They could shoot right over here, and it'd be a very easy thing to do. But instead, what they're doing is they probably had a guy forever ago say, okay, I know exactly how far away the point is, and now they're just shooting this exact spot over and over. And then they're going to say later on, guys, we're at a case shot, can't help you. You're going to wonder why they're at a case shot.
I wonder as well, with the Union only having one officer, and he's coordinating with 3 regiments right there, I wonder how well the information is being passed on to those cannons, because there could be guys literally not able to see the enemy, just afraid to fire.
That is true, that is true. I'm sure that all those individual people aren't able to complete the talk to their own group. We can see over here that I'm pretty sure the Union is shooting bucking ball at farther ranges, which some people would hate. I love it, because it is suppressing them. So a huge massive Confederates over here on the far Union left has retreated all the way back to this forest area into a place where they are in cover. They're pulling off that scene from Gettysburg. Remember that when Pickett's talking about the guys all behind the tree?
I love
Give
that.
them hell 24th, he says. And, well, I think they're receiving hell without any shoes on.
A for effort.
Yeah, A for effort. And, I guess C for cover.
Yeah, that's probably accurate, yeah.
You know, I don't really know here, because the Union, you know, the Sussex Brigade and, let's see, who else is, so the Union is made up of the PB, Sussex, 1st Delaware, 1st Virginia, 2nd Miss, and that's about it right now. So I'm just spectating. Hi there.
Oh heck, it's Provost on artillery right there for the Union, and I know that Provost is a good officer, but however he does only use Discord. He does not talk in game, so I wonder how that is affecting the other guys manning the cannons.
Why not?
I'm honestly not sure. It's just what I've been aware from my own artillery working with them. But yeah, so I wonder how that is affecting the other 2 cannons.
Oh my God!
Firing. Oh, they got red mist right there.
They just directly hit one guy.
I love that they're killing one man at a time with a case shot. I really
yeah. I'm sorry. That I'm just gonna say it. That's a huge waste of a case shot. You know. I'm sorry, but people really hate canister. If you shot canister in that general direction, you're gonna suppress every single one of them and kill like 3. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Confederates did hit taking losses before 27 minutes. That's phenomenal for the Union.
Yeah. If I was the CSA, I would not be committing so many guys to their right side right now, because those rocks that they're trying to take cover behind, there's not that much cover for that many people. And they're probably having quite a lot of guys that are kind of exposed right now if they got a whole regiment there.
Indeed. And what does it provide them? You know, they're doing what? They're shooting maybe killing one Yankee for every 3 they lose.
Yeah,
they have
absolutely.
perfect silhouettes on the Union, but that doesn't really make it any better. I mean, it's not easy to shoot uphill when you're being suppressed.
Absolutely
And
not.
yeah, what we see here is that they're extremely clumped up, and again, I still think there's no reason not to be spread out here. Like, they're way, way too clumped. Look at that. They should be deep some peaks, or maybe 2 per deep. But
That's
anyways,
like they're going to receive a charge right there. They're so tightly packed.
yeah, I think they're just neglecting the importance of quantity of fire. You know, over here on the Union Center, it looks like they are starting to capture point. The first, the 30th, and that's about it. Okay, so the first and the PB have advanced and taken up on this point. The Union team's taking losses a minute behind the Confederates. So they went from a minute ahead to a minute, or all the way around, you know? The Union went from hitting engaged a minute before the Confederates to hitting and taking losses a minute after. So that is a great, what's going to call like momentum. If the Confederates hit breaking 2 minutes before the Union does, that's a whole lot of time to bring down a last stand.
Absolutely. I would love to see the CSA do more with this left flank as well. I think they're not really utilizing it to their best. I know they're concealing their tickets right now, which is smart, but I wonder how many shots they're actually getting from that position on the Union.
Oh shit! What are these idiots doing? I'm sorry. This is dumb. Why would you ever charge to the left in this situation? Look at
And this is another example of not conserving your tickets right here.
Yeah. Oh my god. Even if you win, what do you capture? You lose a bunch of tickets.
This
Oh
is
my
going to
god.
cost the CSA a lot of tickets right here. This is really going to hurt them.
You know, they do outnumber the Union here, so I wouldn't be surprised if they win. I don't expect them to, because I do expect these guys to all die, and then these guys to then swing around and kill them. But even if they win here, what does that give the Confederates? They recapture the left flank, and then what? The Union will respawn at Maine. 25 minutes left. The Union and the Confederates almost be breaking. That is just not a good formula for success. Confederates did seem to lose in the bottom, win at the top, and boom, just like that, they lost everywhere.
Yeah, that is a lot of tickets to CSA you've just lost right here.
I'm surprised. I am disappointed almost.
I wonder if
Union
this is
artillery.
again a coordination thing.
Well, I don't know, because like they were able to coordinate that charge very well, and for a time being, they did outnumber the Union. I just think that they didn't factor in the fact. Nice shot hitting dirt. I don't think that the Confederates factored in the fact that the Union reinforcements would come up, and also the fact that they were, you know, they probably outnumbered them at the beginning of the charge. But just like Pickett's charge, you know, shooting hurts you. Fun fact of the day. Maybe they need to hear this, but shooting is a bad thing. You don't want to be shot if it can be avoided. So I think by the time that they were actually in melee, they probably had less men than the Union.
If I was honestly the CSA and I felt like doing a charge like that, I would have taken advantage of the CSA left there, used that cornfield, got closer, used defenses, used the cover. Charging through that open field is just, you know, the Union are going to get at least 2 volleys into you minimum before you even get across the field. It's just,
and with buck and ball, you're going to be so suppressed you won't be able to stab very fast.
Exactly. You want to use cover wherever possible if you're defending.
And, you know, like, God, military crests. There are so many military crests you can use on this map, and I've not seen either side use any. I'm not going to go into a fucking, you know, artistic rant on it, but it's there's a lot of them. I think the Confederates, like you said, they could be using this corn, but I think what they're doing is they're afraid of the artillery, because they've seen those artillery get direct shots and then red mist. Ooh, red mist. But what we've seen time and time again, like 5 times this map, is that until the point the K shot will not explode, the shell shot will not explode. It'll kill 1 or 2 people. Anybody it directly hits is sure. At that certain point, those are just very manpower intensive rifles, you know. And,
Absolutely, with 11 guys manning them as well, which is a lot.
And that's up to 12.
If
Now I have 6
Union
people
right
downvoting me.
Yeah, if I was the Union, I would probably be asking some of those guys to swap over to infantry because they maybe could just use that for the extra push.
Yeah, the Union here definitely they are winning winning, you know, just in sheer numbers of tickets. But they could, I think they could have already won the map. 11 extra men would have been enough to basically have steamrolled the Confederates by now.
Yeah.
You can see now that the Union didn't really have anybody watching their right over here, the PB, so they're going to get flanked on, which is what these guys should have done a long time ago. But the Confederates aren't really, they're only putting in 1 regiment, 8th Ohio in here, which I'm sure they get a lot of kills, but not enough to turn the tide of the battle.
Absolutely not. If I was the CSA, I would be taking advantage of that cornfield, really flanking them hard here, pushing them really hard, and trying to capture some ground, especially the point.
Yes, and this is what they're doing now. They're getting some buckball shots down the enfilade of the Union, and then retreating back to get the reloads. Not a horrible strategy, but again, I agree with you. They're just not putting enough men into it.
No, absolutely not. And eventually, the artillery will get wise to what they're trying to do. And if the artillery is smart, they'll probably just start spraying that cornfield with canister. That's what I would be doing.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, just one canister shot in like within 10 yards of you, and you're not gonna be able to get an accurate shot off for a good 3 minutes.
Yeah.
CSA. Oh, people are talking in chat. Okay, I guess they're coordinating in chat. That's interesting.
That's not a good sign right there.
Excuse me.
Eventually, the Union will get wise to what the CSA are trying to do here. So if they were trying to capitalize on that flank, I think their moment's kind of gone.
Yes, the PB is now sending them over here, over the fence, which is basically enough to stop any Confederate push in its tracks. Confederates can, in my opinion, do nothing now but wait for the Union to cap. I think that their best chance right now would be to group up in that forest and wait for a cap, or at least a cap attempt.
Absolutely. If I was the CSA right now, I'd be saying let the Union cap and let's try to recap and get some tickets back. Because the CSA are way too close to breaking at 21 minutes.
Indeed. And I think one of the most underrated things about sitting back and letting people cap is that oftentimes the attackers are reluctant to instantly cap, and they'll let the timer go down a few minutes. If, let's just say hypothetically, the Confederates all play back to spawn right now and stop losing tickets, the Union probably wait like 3 or 4 minutes trying to volley at them until they capped. If it was 18 minutes and they were taking losses, it wouldn't be horrible, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I have won this map before as CSA by letting the Union cap multiple times. We actually let the Union cap 5 times and just got our tickets back every time.
Ooh, Union artillery finally exploding in the woods.
Wow. What's what
I didn't.
Oh, there we go again.
I think one of the members sighted out the log pile, and that's why they're shooting the log pile.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. The main Confederate line is basically untouched. Yeah, this is one of those maps on the Cook's countercharge where you can definitely lose the point and still come back.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it's wise to let the Union just push forward and capture it. You get your tickets back, and also you push the Union into the open a little bit more.
I remember one time it was a Cook's countercharge game, and this was like 2 years ago now. Back when Cook's countercharge was basically unwinnable for the Union, it was a death trap, and it was only like a 50v50 event, or maybe it was like a 70v70 event, and we beat 9th Corps. Because every single time the 9th Corps captured the point, like the 9th Corps rebels, they fell back all the way to their fence line. So we were just able to capture back. The event lasted an hour and 12 minutes.
Wow.
One round lasted an hour and 12 minutes.
I will say though, what the CSA has to be really careful of here is that they don't go into breaking while the Union are capturing. And that's
Indeed, yeah.
To be careful with.
If you're going to let the Union cap, you have to let them cap. You cannot be engaging them at all. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing here, is that the Confederates are trying to pull back, but it's very half-hearted. And some of the groups, like I think we just saw that the 8th, am I wrong in that? No, I don't think that was the 8th. It's the 83rd. They're about to get wiped. And that might be the Charlotte Bricks and Camels back and brings them down to breaking. Any one of these out of lines could do it. Literally any one of them.
If I was CSA, I would be pulling right back here. Do not engage. They're capturing the point. And there's no hope you're going to be able to stop them at this point. So
the 7th is getting charged on the right and don't even note it.
That's
awesome.
bad. That's really bad. You got guys crouching, not knowing what's going on. That's not good.
I just want to grill. Frame rate is hating this. Oh my god, Confederates are breaking. Who would have called it? Almost like we called it. Gonna say told you so, Confederates. Union are gonna win this game in like 10 seconds now.
That is really bad for the CSA. They have no choice now but to charge at point. They have no choice.
Artillery, nice job. Me when I indeed. Oh, that was a pretty cool shot of the case there. It hit a tree and you were really able to see all of it spread out. Didn't do jack fucking shit though. Confederates now completely bomb rushing.
Back here. They played it smart. They pulled all the way back, but now they're too far from the point to really do it.
Indeed. What we saw there is half the people do a perfect strategy and half the people do a different strategy. And well, what happens when you have 2 different strategies is not good things. Why did Glitchin say counterattack? Whatever.
That's weird, but yeah, another interesting second round. Again, the teams flopped that time. So, again, interesting round. We'll get your guys' thoughts. Sevi, your thoughts?
Yes. So, again, what we saw there, again, the people who won playing as Union, they were the campaign's Confederates. So, campaign won for the Confederates. Confederates took the town and won the money. So, looking at this map, we can see here that Confederates won the town and the money. And the second map, even though they were playing as Union, they were able to pull it up and win. So I think in that second round, even numbers, the Confederates just played. I'm gonna talk in terms of the campaign. the Confederates, who were playing as Union, played very well. They did a few things wrong. I think they had too many men in artillery, and they could have won a lot sooner with a lot less casualties. We can see over here on the battle screen that they lost almost 50 more casualties by the end of the game, almost. And I don't know, actually just about even because that last charge. Take that back. I guess that was okay. Anyways, the Confederates the Union who were playing as Confederates that second round, were too disorganized. They had, they were focusing on things that weren't important. Like when they charged that far right, if they kept it at the beginning of the game, sure. But at that point in the game, I think it would have just been time to give it up, And they didn't want to give it up. They wanted to recharge it, and that I'm going to bet that is why they hit breaking as soon as they did. They probably could have lasted there on taking losses for like 5-6 minutes at least. So I just think that the Confederates who were playing as Union played very well and basically did that map. It was a Union bias map, but they did it as well as it should be expected to be done.
All right, thank you, Sevi. Rollo, your thoughts?
Yeah, much the same. I think, unfortunately, the CSA just did a massive charge on their right flank at taking losses with way too much time left on the clock, and I think that really helped put them towards breaking. Um, Followed by just not that much coordination, unfortunately. A lot of regiments kind of doing their own thing. That sometimes happens, but that was just, yeah, I just got them to breaking way too soon there, and unfortunately, they did not pull enough people back right when they needed to.
Mm-hmm.
All right. With that being said, thank you guys for your opinions, and now we'll be going to a post-game interview. Hello, everybody. We have our post-game interview with some CSA and USA leaders from tonight. So your announcers for tonight are Rollo, Sevi, and myself. You have the Union perspective from Reagan, who is from the 7th Mass. And then from the CSA perspective, we got C. Murphy from the 5th NC, Zoo from the 5th Florida, and we got Grail from the 1st Maryland. So it should be a fun one. So basically how we're going to do this is us announcers are going to ask some questions and see what their strategy was and other things. So with that being said, Reagan, for the first round for the Union campaign team, what was your guys' strategy going into Eastwoods, and how did you react to the ever-changing battlefield?
Well, I'd say the strategy going around with Eastwoods is just to defend point. I wasn't sure of the exact strategy with in general, but overall, I'd say it was a very chaotic battle for us and some, but I'm not sure. I'd say, that's what I'd say in general. It was very chaotic.
All right, sweet. Thank you. CSA, same question. Overall, the campaign, the CSA campaign team, what was your original strategy going into the first round, and what was your reaction to the ever-changing battlefield?
Oh man, so our original strategy was to, at least for Sussex Brigade, was to push around the right side. We sent first VA and second MS down the left to kind of pincer the Union, and we predicted that they would be in the middle, hiding behind the road as they normally do, and it worked out perfectly because Sussex Brigade, as you may have seen, swept through the woods on the right and basically wiped out the majority of the Union team and kind of continued that energy until we won. So it was very well played, and I enjoyed it immensely.
Any other comments from the CSA leaders?
I think we're all
Yeah,
together.
don't all talk at once, all right?
Yeah, right? Like, everyone at.
Murphy is sussy.
Always has been.
That's tough.
The thing I wanted to ask was that just really quick, like on the first round, the Union strategy, like the generic strategy that has been done for the past 4 years or so, do you guys like wish you had done it slightly differently?
Yeah, but Eastwoods is a very chaotic map for the Union. I'd say the Rebs know that map a lot better than we do. Um, so in general, we got Reb flankers as usual. On our perspective, we were pretty much left the point, and the Union regiments in general, I think, were just fighting on all sides. And I think as soon as the Rebs got the point, we tried our best to retake it, but they held it down pretty well.
Alrighty.
All right, thank you for that. And now for the same thing for the second round. So as we know, the teams flipped. So now the Union campaign was playing as CSA, and the CSA campaign group was playing as Union. So we'll start with the Union campaign. What was your guys' strategy playing as the CSA on Eastwood Skirmish, and how did you react to the ever-changing battle?
Well, so we had Union regiments on both flanks, center, left of the corn, and then right as well. 7th Mass personally, we were on the left side defending the cornfield, as well as 83rd and another regiment that was with us, and we were holding out pretty well. Basically, the general idea was to defend, preserve tickets and keep all sides protected.
All right, thank you for that. For the CSA campaign group, what was your strategy playing as Union on Eastwood skirmish, and how did you react to the ever-changing battlefield?
Zoo?
Sure. Well, I think the initial strategy was to push Sussy Brigade, pretty much the whole team, along that snake fence on the right, just in front of our artillery, and try to get a foothold in the corn and then a foothold in the woods. Sussy Brigade went in first with 2nd MS behind us as like the second wave in case we lost or something like that. But I think with or without 2nd MS, I can't be sure that kind of quick. We definitely took the woods on the right. I think the problem is that after that, we kind of got a little lost and separated, and it kind of fizzled out. Like, we didn't capitalize on our right movement in the woods and our foothold. So the Union team, or the Confederacy, I guess, right, they were able to push us out at some point in the game. And then I think at that point, it's kind of devolved into Sussy Brigade moving down the left-hand side and taking that hill from them. And that's where things got a little bit better.
So I think that, yes, they did push out of the woods, or push us out of the woods rather, but it wasn't more that we took that hill. I noticed about halfway through that forest engagement that group up there just wasn't doing anything. So I had moved Maryland over there just to annoy them. And I'm not sure what did it, but if they had stayed there, the map probably would have ended up differently, because they just gave it up and ended up having to just send at it later, and that
that was
cost
whack.
them the game right there. Like, if they had decided to do nothing and continued to do nothing, that would have been a different story.
Right. I mean, we were sitting on that left side hill for like maybe 10, 15 minutes tops. And I think the Confederacy did at least two, specifically one major charge from their spawn out in the woods across the open field to the hill and into our snake fence, and they just got cut down.
Yeah.
That second charge, that larger charge, was a little rough. We almost lost it for a minute, but I mean, still, it was rough.
If
rough
they
for
had
them.
maintained, because I did notice on both charges they kind of stopped short. If they had kept the momentum, they might have been able to pull it back.
Yeah, wait, Reagan, like on that second map, when you guys were doing that charge, were you guys in that charge? Like, what was your mentality behind that?
We weren't in the charge. The 7th were in the left side. We were on the we were defending the corn. We were
Yes,
not on the
I
right
remember.
side. So
Did you overhear any of that though? Because it was like I mean, there was a lot of regiments charging there, and it didn't work out well.
we were not in the charge. We got white. We were pretty much holding our position. We were keeping in contact, seeing if they asked us to go right. There was one instance where we went to the center and defended from a charge on that position, and then we went back to our old position. But we were pretty much keeping in charge of the left side, the Union right, or Confederate right in this case. Potato potato, and we were pretty much holding the cornfield from any potential flanking attack from that position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes sense because if you guys had all decided to go on that right flank, it would you would have lost the left. Yeah.
It was devastating.
But eventually, the right position got taken over, and we got attacked from behind. So it was pretty much sweeping.
All right, sweet. Thank you for that. Sevi, this will be Sevi and Rollo's opportunity to ask questions if they have any. We'll start with Sevi first and then do Rollo. Sevi, you have any questions?
Yeah, so I've already asked the unit a couple questions, but for the Confederacy on the first round, you guys at obviously it was I'm not gonna say it was an easy win, but at no point in the game did it look like the unit was gonna win. Like there were some minorly close bits, but it was always firmly in the Confederates' favor, I would say. Do you guys, although there were like some points that got really close, like on the right flank when you guys petered out there on the forest, like, do you guys think that you should have kept going there and like stayed organized, or are you happy with how it turned out and would have done the same things?
I'm happy with how it turned out, because my biggest fear is that when you roll up the right a little too far, sometimes you get caught at the end of the Confederate boundary and the Union will just shoot you from their spawn, and there's nothing you can really do about it except either trade fire or fall back. So I think that we did good falling back a little bit and trying to draw them out. And then we
Pretty
waited.
successful at it too, but the big charge on the left.
Yeah. But they never. I don't think they ever really did ever come back over to the right in force. We ended up having to just cut from the right flank of the map over to the left and push whatever group was over there.
Yeah, they never really did push through the corn, did they? Except for the 8th Ohio once or twice.
Is that the 8th Ohio?
Yeah, the 8th Ohio who went and like attacked PB and you know, I believe that if the whole Union had gone there and like that could have been a substantial attack, but it really didn't seem like much advancing happened there.
I'm very happy with that first push we did on the right because it felt like we had rolled up, like we were facing a superior force in number, but they were so spread out that we were able to kind of like defeat in detail, just like knock out one group, then move on to the next and move on to the next, all together as Sussy Brigade.
And that is what happened, you know.
Indeed.
Anybody else disagree with that, or? Yeah, that's all I gotta ask.
All right, sweet. Thank you for that, Sevi. Rollo, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question for the Union on the second map. I noticed you guys all did a big charge at the start on the Union right, and then a little while later decided to switch it up and attack that left side. I was just wondering what was the indicator you guys had for that? What changed and made you guys decide to push the left instead of the right?
Was it your left or our left?
Sorry, it was the Union's left.
Are you talking
so
about us? Or
Yeah, the
I-
people
I-
playing as
about-
Union, so the Confederate on the campaign.
Okay.
Well,
So yeah, go ahead.
So
Go
if
ahead.
you
I mean, they
remember,
completely abandoned it. I watched them walk away from it.
if you remember, so we were not so the Confederate we were on the Confederate left, which was the cornfield. We were fighting on the cornfield and keeping hold on that position, and on the right position. I'm not sure which units were on that side, but we were. So, like I said before, I don't have any insight on what units were fighting on units were fighting on the right side and what we're doing on what was the strategy on that position. We were holding firm on the left, and yeah, that's pretty much all I can say about that. I wasn't there.
Did you guys fall back at all? It feels like you guys pushed up to the corn at one point and then moved back a little bit.
No, we were on the corn and we got pushed out. And from the beginning, in the beginning of the map, we got pushed away from the corn.
Were
But
you
then
were you
we
ever able
got
to
our
go
bearing.
back?
Yeah, we got our bearings back, and we pretty much held a stone wall on the cornfield, and we never saw any mass Union assault there ever again.
Which again was because they advanced to the left. And would you say that was only because because the Union playing as Confederates gave it up, or was there any other reason? Like, did you guys want to attack the left in the beginning of the game, or?
Like I said, I think our
Well-
strategy was to pretty much have an even defense on both sides. I think
Yeah,
that was
sorry,
our
I
strategy.
was more so asking that to like the people who were playing Union on that second round. Like,
Was it
were you guys
fun?
like was your goal always to Okay, well, were you guys going to attack the left eventually, or did you
No,
only attack
no.
it situationally?
Yeah. So we pushed the right, obviously, and then we spawned main when they did some good damage to us, and we wanted to kind of mix it up midway through, just because the right did not feel good, right? Just to be isolated on that right side.
Your right or left, both.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because we had there was 3 regiments holding that position, so we
So
were
then
we were
we,
holding up tight.
we capped the point. I don't know who did it, but then we figured that whoever was on the left flank would take that opportunity and probably move off of it and go for the point to cap it. And they did, right? They all kind of hammered the point. So then we naturally had to push up and take that left corner. And we did.
Yeah.
So, just kind of took advantage of the opportunity. It wasn't part of the original strategy.
I think a key miss, and this isn't a dig by at any means to the other team, but on both rounds, I noticed what seemed like a determined lack of aggression, and that's what really wins games in War of Rights. Is you need to keep pushing forward, and you don't. When I say aggression, I don't mean you need to be out there getting kills, but you need to be in positions that make
That are
people
attacking.
think about you. Like, you need to be in the back of people's minds, even if you're not really doing anything. Just being in a spot where you're possibly able to do something is enough. But anytime I looked around, I would see the Union and I'd see them in a position like back in their spawn, lined up volleying, and that doesn't really do anything. There's no initiative being gained there. It's just back foot play, and that's not strong play.
And while it is true that on both those maps, it is a semi-viable strategy to fall back all the way to spawn and like let the defenders or let the attackers capture point. That isn't what we saw. We just saw like kind of half-assed, where it was far enough away that they wouldn't get wiped, but not far enough away to, stop dying. So it just like the ticket loss never really stopped. Like, I do gotta say though, on that second map, what we did see was that like half the people playing Confederates, so the Union, fell back to spawn, and the other half kept fighting on point. And all that made was that they had breaking, and then nobody was there to actually recapture the point. So the Confederates lost, like, even though they had like 70 guys running in from Maine, it didn't do anything because they were, it wasn't one, like, they didn't commit, and they didn't commit to attacking, and they didn't commit to retreating. So I don't know. That's just my insight. Yeah.
All right. With that being said, that looks like the end of our post-game interview. Does anyone have any last thoughts before I call off for the night?
Sussy now, sussy forever.
Sussy now, sussy forever.
What they said.
Sussy now, sussy tomorrow, and sussy forever.
With that being said, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. All the regiments who participated in the video, their socials will be in the description. The House Divided Campaign Discord will also be in the description below if you want to join that and check that campaign out and possibly join it with your regiment. Looks like lots of fun from what we saw tonight, and they'll keep going with that event. All the socials of everyone in this VC for the post-game interview will also be in the description as well, so please check them out. And with that being said, please like, comment, share, subscribe for more, and hope you guys enjoy and have a good day or good night.